Be good.
Okay. Okay. Well, thank you all for being here today. All of us are deeply saddened by the recent tragic murder of George Floyd, followed by civil unrest and violence in cities and neighborhoods across our nation. I would ask that you please join me in a moment of silence for all victims of racism, bigotry, intolerance, violence, and for our nation's needed change and healing. Thank you. As I mentioned in my recent letter to our college community, long-standing and enduring racism, hatred, injustice, and violence continue to threaten and harm all of us, particularly people of color. We all stand in solidarity with the African American and Black communities and all communities against racism, hatred, injustice, and violence. I haven't scripted remarks for today other than these opening comments and a few concluding remarks. Today's town hall is a space to share our feelings, concerns, and ideas for what we as a community can do to empower positive and impactful change. Our discussion today is also a platform of support for our students, faculty, and staff. Following today's meeting, our President's Advisory Council on Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion will meet and begin to plan additional forums for students, staff, and faculty to share their opinions and comments about the tragedies and develop goals and actions for our community's collective engagement. I thank PAC Day co-chairs Lalisa Williams and Yuris Pujols and all PAC Day members, some 35 strong, for their leadership and support for diversity, equity, and inclusion in all of its forms at HCCC. And one final thought before we begin. I want to thank Dr. Darrell Jones for sharing this with me and allowing me to share it with you. Talking and learning about race and racial injustice is risky, hard, uncomfortable, threatening, and it can also be enlightening. Our college community should be a brave space for encouraging students, faculty, and staff to lean into that discomfort, while at the same time leaving room to recognize that people's fear and anxiety can be triggered by different factors and life experiences. Really caring about race and fighting against racism, hatred, bigotry, injustice, and violence requires all of us to take responsibility, recognize the history we all share and perpetuate, and learn how to talk about it. This is how we can begin the healing process and empower our students and other community members to be change agents in building a more just, equal, and inclusive society. Carol, thank you so much for allowing me to share these thoughtful perspectives. So we're now going to open the meeting to your comments and perspectives and for our collective discussion. Lalisa, Yuris, and members of our cabinet join me as facilitators for the conversation. If you'd like to speak, please press 10, and Hardik, again, will help us manage the technology. Many thanks, Hardik. So we open it to discussion.
This conference is now in question and answer mode. To alert the speaker that you have a question, press 1, then 0.
Questions, comments?
Good morning, Dr. Reva. This is Amala.
Hi, Amala.
I just wanted to share that I was hurt by the college's response to everything going on. And I was hurt that there was a delay in the statement, and I understand that maybe you can't jump the gun and say what needs to be said right away. On Monday, we had a meeting. We had a return to work task force meeting with over 31 people, and no one even mentioned it. When we had our last DI meeting, Lalisa and Yuris shared with us some of the things that they learned from their diversity and inclusion training, and one of the things that Lalisa shared was psychological safety. And I was upset because I didn't even feel comfortable enough during that meeting to ask for a moment of silence, or to mention the people's names that have been hurt. This situation, and we spend most of our time at the college. I spend more time with the people that I work with than I do with my own family. So the way it was handled, it really hurt me. And I don't know what the right way was, but I just needed you and the cabinet to know that it was hurtful.
Amal, I so respect your comments, and let me say I was remiss for not having responded sooner. I was working with our colleagues at our 17 other sister colleges on a joint release, and realized I needed to get my release out. It was too late, and I accept responsibility for that. I will share, it's not an excuse at all, but just to share very honestly, as I know all of you understand, the pandemic has just been all-encompassing and frankly exhausting. It's been 24/7, 7 days a week. All of us are facing that challenge, which just exacerbates, responding as we should have in this case. But I apologize for it. What I do want to say is that I hope you all know that what I have said in my letter is genuine and heartfelt. I'm passionate about what I said. For me, I hope you know, really since I arrived and really throughout my career, diversity, equity, and inclusion has been a top priority, and helping to lead and support appropriate change and continuous improvement remains a central priority for me, and I'm proud of our work together to establish the President's Advisory Council on Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion, and the great work that's coming out of that. In various meetings, I've asked for a moment of silence. I apologize for any lapses, and appreciate your honesty and your sharing.
Thank you. If I can, I just have two other things I'd like to say.
Mm-hmm.
I think that this situation speaks to the importance of us not only having the DEI committee, advisory council, but we need a DEI office. We need a dedicated department that responds directly to you to handle things like this, to deal with things like this, to have action items in place so that, the pandemic is exhausting, Dr. Reaver, but this is maybe a once-in-a-lifetime thing for many of us, but being Black is exhausting every day.
Yeah.
We deal with it every day. We
Absolutely.
Can't take it off, stop it. We can't quarantine until we get it under control. It's every day.
Yes.
And I'll hold my other comment, but thank you.
And let me say, the efficacy of creating an office and a leadership role in this work has been one of the charges that I have asked PAC-Day to consider and to make a recommendation on. So I appreciate that, and that is something that I know PAC-Day is going to be providing additional advice to me on.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
This is Lisa. If I could also comment on Amala's first concern. Amala, you're absolutely right. And as co-chair of that Return to Campus Task Force, I take full responsibility for that. I know better than that. And you're absolutely right. And I want you to know that you have the right, and I welcome you speaking up and calling me out if that ever happens again, because you could not be more spot on with that meeting being one of the first on Monday with a large portion of our campus community. So thank you for bringing that to my attention, and please, it will not happen again, but I want you to know you're welcome to speak up anytime in a meeting.
Thank you.
Thanks, Lisa.
Good morning. This is Dorothea. How's everybody
Hi, Dorothea.
doing? Hi. I just wanted to say that the Monday morning, I was so overwhelmed inside between the pandemic and what was happening with George Floyd and others that I didn't know where to begin. Where do my feelings go? But what I want to say is that you may be disappointed if you try and you fail, but you would be doomed if you didn't try at all. And I just appreciate that maybe, Dr. Weaver, you didn't have your what you wanted to say ready on the first day, but you did have something to say and you said it. So I really appreciate that. And that's all I have to say at this time.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dorothea.
Hi, Dr. Reaver and everyone. As a host, do I have to hit 1 and 0?
I'm sorry, who's speaking?
Oh, this is Lil Lisa.
No, you shouldn't have to.
Okay, thank you. So definitely I just want to say to everyone, this is Lil Lisa Williams. I am Director of Faculty and Staff Development and one of the co-chairs for PAC Day. Certainly, you know, this is a very heartfelt moment. Also, I think this is that watershed moment where this is a turning point. It's not, will this be a turning point? Can it be a turning point? I think it's a turning point on several levels. Definitely on the level of a lot of things coming together at once, a pandemic, the murder, the tragedies, other incidents were happening at the same time that were also in the media, where people's rights and people's equitable treatment has been violated and is being violated. And then on the other side, I see where being a part of Hudson County Community College, I also felt that level of community, you know, with being able to jump on the phone and, you know, talk with, you know, Eurus, and we were discussing points back and forth, and then Eurus, you know, contacting, you know, Dr. Friedman, and they, you know, and then I was able to, you know, get on there with some other people, and, you know, Amala, I apologize as well, you know, in regards to your first comment or one of your comments, because I wish I would have reached out to you. Because I did bring up that topic about psychological safety and having some understanding and context around that, knowing what that means. And so when the George Floyd tragedy happened on May 25th, which was also, I believe, a holiday, and a lot of people were off and relaxed and, you know, just trying to get by. And then that Wednesday, I believe there was a PAC Day subcommittee meeting, where in the meeting with those other 7 or 8 individuals, I did speak up. So you're right. Having the ability to speak up, it can be seen as a learned behavior. And dealing with these hard topics that are even hard today, you don't see people like just jumping in to have something to say. It's hard. These are hard topics, like Dr. Reaver already said, and that was mentioned from his comments from Dr. Jones. But I do, you know, like Dorothea is saying too, that, you know, we are all in this together. Like, we helping each other, and we're not. I can promise you, I know I'm not going to always get it right, but I'm going to always seek to make a change. And I just feel that if nothing else, it is our chance to make that change. It's our time. This is our time to take action on everything that we're seeing. And I appreciate that we have a PAC Day committee that we didn't have before. I've been at Hudson as an employee for 6 years, and we never had a PAC Day committee, President's Advisory Council on Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion. We now have that. And so while, you know, it's not the panacea for all of the issues, but it is certainly a place to make that change. And I believe that as a community, we come together, We're making the change, and so I thank Dr. Eric Friedman, my supervisor, for giving me the opportunity to be one of its co-chairs. I thank Dr. Reber and each and every person on here and all of you who, believe in us, believe in what we do, believe that when we hurt, that when one of us hurts, and even if we don't identify that hurt, that we all are in some kind of pain. So I don't want to ramble, but I just want to, make it clear that we will be taking action, because that's the only thing that's going to make change is action, not just words, not nice documents, not nice statements. It's action. And this is action right here, so God bless all of you.
Thanks so much.
Good morning. Good morning. This is Anna. I thank you so much, Lalisa, and thank you, everyone, so far. I do greatly appreciate Dr. Reber for creating and leading this platform for our community. And I just wanted to share some of my thoughts and even a couple of resources. First, I do have to recognize that my perspective is that one of one white woman, albeit with some very cultural perspective. I do consider myself an advocate for social justice and human rights and human dignity, but I'm still learning about this world and about this crazy society. I'm also a mother. I have a boy who's 3 and a girl who's 6, who's just trying to finishing first grade. And this past weekend especially was quite overwhelming in so many ways. As I was trying to make sense of what is happening and why and how do I stop it, what do I do, I started reaching out to some friends and colleagues. Some of you are on this call today. One of them asked if I'm talking to my kids about it. And honestly, my heart sank at the thought, because I couldn't even begin to come up with how I would do it. They're only 6 and 3 years old. My son doesn't even speak English yet, and the Russian vocabulary in this context is just entirely inadequate, if not inappropriate. And yet I felt that I must somehow, because I want them to be able to stand up for their black and brown friends and classmates if they need to. I want them to be able to speak against injustice and racism when they need to. I want them to be advocates like I'm trying to be, but perhaps even better and stronger. So one of the resources, I'm thankful that CNN has partnered with Sesame Street for a special program this upcoming Saturday. So I encourage all of you with small kids to tune in with me and my kids. And I also wanted to plug in our Rockstar Library. Jenny Poo and her staff put together a very rich set of anti-racist resources, which is a number of books that are available electronically. And I know for a fact that most of these books are currently sold out everywhere. So I will take that as a good sign that there are many people out there that want to learn more and want to do more in this world. But thank you, everyone, for their thoughts today and for having this brave meeting.
Thank you, Anna. I believe we have several more folks on hold.
Hi, everyone. This is Joe. How are you, Dr. Reber?
Hi, Joe.
Hi. I just want to say that, the situation that the country's going through is bad. But I must say, though, working at the college for the past 10 years, Dr. Reber, you are a person that has made a huge difference in the college as far as, you're bringing the community together. And I've seen a huge difference in you've let everyone have their voice. And this was an excellent idea for you to have this town hall so people can express their opinions. But for anyone, students, faculty, staff, administrators, this is a place that you listen to us. So if people have issues or they're going through problems, the best way to handle those issues, express your feelings, is by having more of these meetings. And I appreciate the fact that you're doing this. And the only way to heal the pain that we're all going through is by talking about it. I admire the protest. I just hope that our young people, the students, protesting is fine. Just please don't engage in any violence or anything that's going to cause you any trouble. Express your feelings by protesting if you're doing that. Talk like you're talking now as a group, and that's the way things get accomplished. So I want to say thank you very much for having this meeting today.
Thank you, Joe. And I do want to say to our students on the line, we welcome your comments, too, and your perspectives.
Dr. River, I also wanted to add, I also want to thank you for providing this platform. Again, this is Yuris from North Hudson. I want to thank you for providing this platform. I want to thank Lisa, Lilisa, and Amala for the questions and their comments. But I also wanted to highlight that something that came up in one of our subcommittee meetings. One of our good friends from that community mentioned that the pandemic, which is something that, it's like we're not talking about that today, but it's still here upon us, right? The pandemic brought up a lot of inequalities, or not brought up, highlighted inequalities that exist within our communities. Whenever you talk about essential personnel, the reality is that a lot, or a great majority of those individuals that are essential personnel, when you talk about truck drivers, delivery, they are black and brown people. Whenever you are essential personnel, you're going out there, you're risking getting infected and infecting your families. When you talk about where the majority of black and brown people live, they live in urban communities, which are smaller apartments. I remember my own experiences living in a one-bedroom apartment with like 10 other individuals on a good day. It's really hard to work to enforce any type of social distancing at home and to enforce any type of quarantine if the situation ever comes home. And, the examples of Patterson, New Jersey, and Washington Heights in New York come to mind. They kind of like were the epicenters of their respective states. Black and brown people, they overwhelmingly have part-time and frontline positions that at the end of the day, if you are frontline, you're dealing with customers and the shop closes, chances are that maybe remote work is not an option for that individual. And again, we could talk about access to health insurance. We could talk about the reliance of black and brown people to public transit. And I just wanted to add that I'm grateful for this forum, the fact that we're talking about it, and PACT is going to meet later this afternoon to talk about additional forums and additional steps that we need to do. But going back to Lisa's point originally, it's more than talking. We need to acknowledge the problems that have been there that for years, and again, this is not like a unique problem to the college. This is something that we've been dealing in this country for over 200 years. Problems of inequality that we've ignored, maybe because we couldn't do anything about it, or maybe because we just ignore them. But again, thank you for the forum, and we would like to encourage our community to ask questions and to engage, because this is for all of us. And thank you.
Thank you, Yura, so much.
Good morning, everyone. This is Paula Roberson. Hope you're all well.
Hi, Paula.
I'm home, of course, in the pandemic with a small child, and I was greatly affected by the deaths of Ahmaud, Breonna, and George Floyd, and it kind of consumed my life for the 3 days. And so I began to think about, what am I going to teach my grandchildren? So I have grandchildren that are biracial. So my thought is that I really can't teach them about being white. I can teach them about the experiences of being black and the black woman. But overall, my experience to teach them is about humanity. And that's what I saw when I saw George Floyd on the ground, that there was one human being that did not even have the humanity to ease up, to back off, because clearly he was not a threat. So it kind of gave me an epiphany to teach them about being kind to other people and thoughtful and considerate in our everyday interaction. So I want to invite anybody who would to share with me in reading a book. This is my point number 2. The book is called White Fragility by Robin DiAngelo. I haven't started it yet, but it just got on my list under the Center for Teaching, Learning, and Innovation. So it'll be clearly something we do on our own. Thirdly, I want to encourage Anna, on your statement that you made to stand up for your black and brown friends. We feel also, so when I come back to work or when I come to work each day, there are things said or things not said that we just have to smile and work through, and it's not okay. And that's something that black and brown people deal with every day, but we have to go on like it doesn't even happen, and that's not good. So we still continue with the work demands in spite of the things people say and do and just try to be professional. But on the inside, it does hurt, and that we're humans too. And that's all that I have to say, and I hope that we can all have some concrete action immediately to go forward at the college, because college is a place where action takes place, whereas historically, such as Kent State, historically moving forward, where things happen. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Paula.
Paula, thank you. I just wanted to highlight, first of all, I'll take you up on the challenge for the book. This is one of the books that's actually on the anti-resources list that the library has available electronically, although I'm not sure how many copies they're able to do electronically. But I appreciate your thoughtfulness, and I'll definitely take you up on the reading.
Great.
Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning.
This is Trustee Gardner, and I'm so glad to be on this town hall call this morning. And I've heard all the comments, and they were wonderful comments. So I just really have to, and I appreciate them, and I understand what everyone was saying, but I want to really thank Dr. Reba for having this town hall with this discussion of making it available for everyone. It's very important, especially for such a time as this. And I know this is not about the pandemic, but you have the pandemic. You have what we're trying to do. You have people at home. You have different things going on and a lot of anxiety and tension. And then back to back, we've had murders, African-American men being murdered. And then someone said, well, you know, it's nothing new. It's just that we have cameras now, and that's true. And the thing is, what are we going to do? We're hurt. A lot of frustration is coming out. There have been people out there who've had deaths in their families, sick people, different things going on from the pandemic, and now we have this murder. Nothing new. My family has long been involved in civil rights. I was a civil rights baby because when I came up, that's what we did. We did NACP. I was involved in that. My uncle was the first black fireman and later becoming one of the first black fire captains. But I remember the stories as a child as to how he was treated right here in Jersey City because he was black and had been able to become a firefighter, and how he had to, you know, the joke was that the people, no one wanted to bother with him, so he just studied all day, and that's how he passed the captain's test so quickly. So I understand this racism, and I've been in marches, and I appreciate what they're doing. But as we march, this is time for a change. We march, but you just don't march and go home. We have to have some type of strategy and demand certain things. And one of the things is we want change. So if you want change, where is that change really done? It's done through the legislation. It's done through people who can affect change, and those are the people we elect. Our mayors, the different various people, our committee people, assembly, on to our national forum. We have to be involved in that. And how do we do that? We make our voices known, but one of the things that we need to do is vote. Your vote is your voice. Yes, we should protest, and as someone said, always be nonviolent. Understand what you're doing, understand your purpose, and understand your purpose to have strategies that we need a change, and we just can't march and go home. And I'm afraid that too many of us did that in the past. We were involved. I was a baby marching. We did loads of marches, and that's what we did. And we thought they were effective, and they brought about some change, but we have to do real change. We have to really fight not just for civil rights, but for human rights, to bring about a change. And when we talk about the pandemic, we talked about health disparities. All that is related, economic development. So what are we going to do? We're going to march, but we're not just going to go home. We're going to work for a change, and a real change, a change that can make a difference in our children and their lives to come. Thank you so much, Dr. Weber, and for the host on this call, the opportunity to do this. And all schools don't offer this. So I'm very thankful for this town hall. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Trustee Gardner, and thanks for taking the time to share those wonderful thoughts and for your leadership and support for our college.
Sure. You're quite welcome.
Hi, Chris and everyone. This is Daryl Jones. I am very, very appreciative that we are having this dialogue today. And I see it going much further than a one-off occasion, a one-off opportunity to listen, to learn, and to share. But as Trustee Gardner just mentioned, we have a challenge here, and we also have an opportunity. Our dialogue should not end with this conversation, and I encourage each and every one on the call to go back to your families, to go back to our colleagues, and particularly begin to figure out how we can infuse conversations about race, racial injustice, violence, and hatred into the dialogue. And I personally challenge our faculty. We have a great moment here in terms of the opportunity as we are launching PAC Day, as we are launching our student success initiatives with Achieving the Dream, as we're moving forward with infusing environmental sustainability into our curriculums. How can we infuse discussions, conversations, readings, thank you, Paula Robinson, thank you, Anna, into the day-to-day conversation and particularly the curriculum? Let's be bold, let's continue to be brave, and let's continue to provide the space for our students to talk about what's on their minds. They're bombarded with what's on social media. They're bombarded with what's happening around the corner in their communities. But let's continue to provide the space, and within our academic curriculums, dear faculty, let's be bold. Let's infuse discussions, open discussions informed by knowledge as it relates to race, injustice, hatred, and violence. I appreciate the platform. Chris and others, thank you very much for providing this opportunity.
Thank you so much, Daryl.
Chris, if I may, I also wanted to add, those are incredible points that were just made. And, Daryl talked about taking action and responding to what is happening outside, in our neighborhoods, what you see happening in the media. But there are things happening at home, too. And many of us are living it, it's right here. If I could put feelings into it, I think the word that comes to mind is hopelessness. And I just want to share with everyone that when all of this began, and sometime a few days ago, I walked into the bedroom and I saw my wife, who is probably one of the strongest people that I've ever met in my life. She was holding our son, who is a 2-year-old brown boy, and she was crying. As I walked in, I thought maybe she dropped him, maybe he had a fever, but when I looked at her face, I knew what she was feeling. She was holding him, and, when I looked at her, she told me, how am I going to explain this to him? And the idea that came to mind at that point was like all the mothers in our community, across our country, that have black and brown children, specifically boys. That conversation that you need to have, that it shouldn't need to be had. In an ideal, perfect world, that conversation should not be needed, but it is needed. And hopelessness, again, that you cannot do anything. There's nothing you could do. It's just what it is. You have to accept it, right? And, we're talking about George Floyd losing his life in the hands of a racist cop. who at that particular moment when they interacted, that person had life and death authority over him. And, you know, he took his life. But I just wanted to pivot a little bit, and, you know, I guess as a new father, I'm like all emotional about kids. But, you know, George had a 6-year-old daughter. Now she has no daddy. And hopelessness again. You know, we can't do anything. It's just what it is. You know, but, you know, going back to what Trustee Gardner said again, hopelessness and powerlessness should not be what we get out of this. This is, you know, I'm not okay with this. I'm angry. I'm upset. And, you know, we need to do what we can to enlist change and to make sure that we transform our societies. Because if we look at what is the cause of this systemic problem that we have for over 200 years, you cannot look at one person. You cannot look at one institution. You could not look at one area. It's many areas. It's everywhere. So, you know, I'm grateful for this dialogue. And again, I just want to agree with Darryl. This should only be the beginning for further engagement and, you know, to see how we lead. You know, we in Hudson County Community College, I am of the opinion that we provided a wonderful model for companies, organizations to follow as we responded to the pandemic. You know, we had two guiding principles, our safety and our commitment to student success. And I think this is yet another opportunity for us to lead and to, you know, to lead the way in this. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Juris.
There are several people on hold.
Hello?
Hello?
Hi, President Reba. This is Marcella.
Hi, Marcy.
This is Marcella Williams, Executive Secretary in the President's Office. And I'd just like to say that when I witnessed the injustice, the atrocities of a people, I try to place myself in their shoes to feel what they are feeling. Close your eyes for a moment. A man is handcuffed on the ground, crying out, "I can't breathe," begging, "Please don't kill me." Now imagine that being your son, brother, nephew, father. I can't watch the video anymore without crying. This has been going on for decades. There are good cops out there, but it is imperative that there is some kind of systemic change in the current policies. I want to thank President Reba for his heartfelt message he sent to the college community. Let us all please remember that love is always more powerful than hate. Thank you.
Thank you, Marcy. That's beautiful.
Hi, Chris. It's Michael Furlise. How are you?
Hi, Michael.
I want to introduce myself today as a member of the faculty, as someone who teaches sociology. You know, I mentioned to you privately that I was very happy and proud to read your message to the college community. And I also want to thank, you know, you for providing, like others have, this open forum and space for a very important discussion as a community. And that's a unique opportunity. Thank you for that. And, you know, I'm a little embarrassed to speak after so many really moving comments and thoughtful reflections that were just made before me. You know, Darryl said we should be bold. I really appreciate his statements. I guess I want to try to take him up on that. You know, there's been the issue, a very sensitive issue about violence. And I think that part of the bravery faculty should have is to engage these very delicate and sensitive issues. And I want to ask my colleagues to reflect on violence very thoughtfully and sensitively, and not to merely morally condemn it, because when we do that, we really don't think about violence. I mean, I'm not advocating violence by any means, but I think that we have a duty and really an ethical obligation to think about its meaning. I mean, we need to analyze it, and we need to understand it, and we need to understand its meaning, as a response to centuries of brutal, racism, slavery, and the more subtle forms of institutional racism and discrimination. I mean, we need to have a larger college-wide discussion about violence, thinking about it. We need to have those discussions with our students. I think our students might have some very, very important things to teach us about their experience and the kind of violence that, and not just street violence and policing violence, which obviously is, a paramount concern about our lives, but the ongoing institutional violence, of denying people the right to be able to get mortgages, to live in better neighborhoods, to get a better education. I mean, that's a kind of a violence. If we look at the statistics, for black men and black women, I mean, in almost every single category, they come out on the worst end. Mental health, physical health, all these things. And that is a form of institutional systemic violence that I think we have to understand that the response of many people, and again, not to condone it, but the response of many people is really symptomatic of this powerlessness, I think as Juris has spoken about, and a feeling of a need to be recognized and to have not just their lives matter, but their voices matter, and their ability to really effectively, address their circumstances and their history. So anyway, I just say that, I guess, as an attempt for building bridges, not for shutting down dialogue, and for taking on those concerns that maybe we hear often today. People just condemn, actors who are doing things we don't like. We need to think about it more. We need to sort of open that discussion and maybe be willing to be critical of ourselves and our own anxieties about these things. Anyway, I thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Michael.
Yes, good morning, Dr. Reba and the Hudson family. I just wanted to first say thanks, Dr. Reba, for providing this platform. Just had a few quick things. The first is,
can you tell us who you are? Tell us who you are.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
My name is Bashir Bivens. And I don't know. I think this is like my third semester. I just wanted to thank first Dr. Pack for having a Zoom meeting last night about this issue. I just wanted to come from a different angle. I think sometimes the cops get like the bad, they get like the, and it's kind of like they're someone's child, and I look at it from the perspective of they always get ostracized and they get beat up for everything they do wrong. But I'm just willing to put it out there that when we look back just a few months ago, what happened in Jersey City, not that his race should even come up, but that was brave of all of those cops to stop that and how that hurt us. You know what I'm saying? And it became like a nationwide story. And I'm willing to volunteer my time to just do something as simple as, can we have open dialogue? And I know other community colleges in other states provide things like truck driver training. And maybe sometime, just being humble and maybe they, want to learn. Because I'm a truck driver and I take classes. And maybe, they could learn some things, or I can, give some pointers, and then maybe they can, help others provide employment or whatever it is, I don't know, create scholarships or just do things like give them a gift card and show them like, hey, sometimes, always painting them as the bully and it's us against them, like we're not getting nowhere. We're in college, so we're wise enough to understand that you're not going to get people to work with you if you don't first say, you know what, it's not about who's right or wrong, but let's figure out how can we be a community And the second thing is, and then I'll let everyone speak, is I don't know if it's appropriate, not that we want to pass judgment on what happened in Atlanta, but that was just very traumatic, even for me, to see what happened to those 2 college students. And if we could just do something like send them a card from Hudson, supporting them, that regardless of whatever the charges they said was dropped or who was right or wrong or should they been there or not, just to show them like, hey, that's traumatic. That's like a PTSD, as I studied in Intro to Psych. That was very disturbing, that video. So I'll let everyone speak. Thank you.
Thank you for those wise, thoughtful comments.
Yes, Dr. Reber and everyone, this is Lil Lisa Williams again. I just want to remind everyone that anyone that is a part of Hudson County Community College, students, faculty, staff, administrators, and the community, you will be getting some dates, a notification with some dates of open forums to have these very discussions that, everyone is saying that, they wish they had, we wish we could do, we need to do, where we can really put down some next steps and we can hash out some suggestions. And so that'll be happening very soon. Like, we're going to have the meeting today to come up with those dates, but those dates will be happening, I do believe, starting next week. So I just remind everyone of that. Just know that that's part of the plan. Thank you.
Outstanding. Thank you, Elisa.
Hi, this is Katie Sweeting. I'm white, if those of you who don't know me, but I'm married to an African-American man, and I have 3 black children, sons. I consider them biracial, but society sees them as black. And thinking about raising our children, Anna and Paula talked about, what do we tell our children? Back in 1999, when Amadou Diallo was killed with 41 bullets by several police, I had to tell my then teen and preteen sons that if they ever came across a police officer, they needed to just put their hands up. Don't talk, don't say anything, don't reach for anything, just put your hands up. This is the society we still live in 2020. Things have not changed as much as we might think or hope they have changed. If you heard about the incident in Central Park, which is nothing compared to these deaths, but it just points out the status of black people in this society, that a white woman who has her dog off a leash
Hello?
Katie, we lost you there.
Hello? Hello?
Hello?
Hi, how are you?
Good.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, I'm sorry because I know the other lady was speaking and it kind of went out, so I wasn't sure. But this is Nakia Santos. Excuse me, I'm a little emotional and a little nervous to even be on the line. But I would just like to say, like, for me, my first and foremost, thank you for this platform. I would just like to speak on my behalf and just say me as an individual, when I look at my colleagues or my coworkers or just people in the world in general, I don't see color. I judge people by their heart. I judge people by their actions. I don't worry about people's backgrounds. And I raise my children to be the same way. You care about all people. You help all people, man, woman, whomever. And it's just heartbreaking to know that I can send them out in the world and people won't look at them the same way. The same lessons that I teach them, other people may not have the same values or morals and ethics, and they can be mistreated
the same way. Before I get off, I just want to read a poem if that's okay. The poem is called Who Will Cry for the Little Boy? Who will cry for the little boy, lost and all alone? Who will cry for the little boy, abandoned without his own? Who will cry for the little boy, he cried himself to sleep? Who will cry for the little boy, he never had for keep? Who will cry for the little boy, he walked in the burning sand? Who will cry for the little boy inside the man? Who will cry for the little boy who knows well hurt and pain? Who will cry for the little boy, he died and died again? Who will cry for the little boy, a good boy he tried to be? Who will cry for the little boy who cries inside of me? This poem is by Antoine Fisher, and he ends it with, it don't matter what you tried to do, you couldn't destroy me. I'm still standing, I'm still strong, and I'll always be. Thank you.
Thank you so much. That is so moving. I'm so glad you spoke. Thank you. And Katie, we lost you before. If you would like to rejoin, please do.
Dr. Reber, while we're waiting for the next caller, I just wanted to remind of some of the other platforms for open dialogue that we do currently have ongoing, in addition to what Lisa mentioned and what Paula may be working on. And that is, we do have next week coming up as part of the Professional Development Series, a program called Same, Same, Different that is run by Amala. That is meant to be a similar kind of platform for kind of courageous conversations, I would say. And then also every Tuesday and Thursday at 1 o'clock, Amala holds Want to Talk About It, another platform and support group for everyone who's able to join. So these are all included in the Professional Development Series flyers that we circulated, and will be circulating reminders as well.
Outstanding. Thank you, Anna. Thanks, Amala. And everybody that's participating. It's a wonderful professional development series. It's wonderful to see so many members of our community stepping forward to provide professional development opportunities for our colleagues.
Hi, this is Jeff Roberson. Can you guys hear me?
Yes. Hi, Jeff.
I just wanted to speak from my individual perspective. I'm sure Dr. Jones, Uras, other men of color can attest to it's different for me in viewing the actions that are occurring, because it's something I have to live. Like, as an African-American male, this is something I live every day. And I've been, I've had similar experiences with the cops. And I'm not saying all cops are bad, because some of my best friends are police officers and works for the sheriff's departments. But as an African-American male, I live this on a daily basis. And anytime I'm pulled over by the cops, my fear is, am I going to make it home? And, that looking at what has transpired, I mean, very, very much to what, a lot of the comments have been, is that we have to do something. And there is a level of hopelessness, because we go back and the images and the things that we see time and time on TV where there's no accountability. And that's systemic. It's systemic, and that's not something we are going to change, within a call. We're not going to change, like the individual said, with the marching, until we embrace, the facts and we deal with the realities of what goes on. Just from my perspective, this is something that I live. It's not something that I talk about. It's not something that there's a conversation about. As an African American male, this is my life, and I just wanted to bring that reality
to the conversation. And the only things we can do individually is do the things that we can and treat people the right way with humanity. And you know, we move forward. And you know, it's unfortunate that I do have to teach my son and my grandson and those individuals that again, if you are approached by the cops, do nothing. And doing nothing doesn't guarantee that you're going to make it home safe. That's just from a perspective of me as an African American male.
Jeff, thank you so much.
Good morning, everyone. This is Hope Galantes from Academic Affairs. Dr. Liebert, as I said to you in our meeting the other day, you know, thank you for your kind words. And I also said that I was envious because, to be perfectly honest, I figured you'd have something else, like, you know, the following day that we met, like Wednesday, because if anyone watches the video, I only watched it one time, and I couldn't even get through the whole thing. As human beings, to try to come up, just to even grasp everything and to be able to come up with words of wisdom and comfort, and you're trying to find that wisdom and comfort for yourself first before you can even reach out to a larger audience. You have to take care of the microcosm before you can even get to the macrocosm. Again, I said I was envious, but you know, this is a long history. It's over 400 years in this country, just in this country, you know, in the late 1600s. And, you know, something that shook me to my core the other night, I saw a post from a friend of mine in Washington, and she had posted that she saw on her friend's post this one question, how old were you the first time a cop held a gun at you? And it shook me to my core because it brought me back to the age of 14. On a Christmas day, my brother was home from the Navy, and we went Christmas shopping. We went to Grahams Park Mall. We went to all these different malls in that area, Bergen County, and there was this one sign that said American something. And my sister, forever being adventurous, said, hey, let's take that turn there. My brother said, okay. So we went. There was a mall there. We went shop, picked up a few things there. And as we were leaving, you know, we pulled out of the parking lot, and we were, you know, pulling off to go back onto the road. All of a sudden, these cars came from everywhere. Everywhere. We were surrounded. And we were in a Volkswagen. And Volkswagens tend to only have, this Volkswagen, you know, most Volkswagens back then had two doors. So if you're in the back, you have to wait for two people to get out. You have to wait for the person to get out so that you can get out as well. There were guns pointed at us. They were screaming for us to get out the car. My brother gets out the car. My sister gets out the car. And she went to turn to open to let me out. And they were like, put your hands up. And I remember putting my hands up. And my sister said, you know, what's the problem? What's the problem? They grabbed my brother. They slammed him down onto the hood of the car. And it's winter time, but that hood is hot. And he's looking at me, and I'm looking at him. And I'm crying, and he's crying because he's my brother, and he can't protect me. And I'm this kid, and I can't do anything for my brother and my sister. It ended up being a situation of mistaken identity. They didn't even apologize. They just said, here's your, you know, after she showed them some of her receipts and stuff, They were like, you know what, just go, go on your way, stay out of trouble. Those were their words, not, I'm sorry, I apologize, anything like that. Okay? I had to ride home, in the car with my brother and sister. She ended up taking the wheel of the car because he was just so shaken. And, when that question popped up, it wasn't a question of have you ever that faced a gun from a cop, and how old were you? And if so, how old were you? The question was just straightforward. How old were you? There was no if. There was no if. And when I think about what happened with George, over $20, when we had Sandy, I remember my card didn't work when I ordered food. And this lady said, I got you. What would it have taken for the person who got the bad bill, whether it was the owner of the store or whatever, to pull him to the side and say, yo, this is a fake bill. Take your stuff. When you get a chance, bring it back to me. If you can't bring it back to me, don't come back to my store no more. What would it have taken for the cops to go, oh, any one of those cops could just do that? Those are things that have been running through my mind. The fact that if it was anybody else, it would have been, oh, I'm sorry, you had a bad bill, or there's something wrong with this bill. But they automatically call the police on them. And from my own experiences, from that one holiday for Christmas shopping, I don't just see that the lives of of my black men at stake. I see my life at stake, my own life at stake, the life of my daughter, my sisters, my coworkers. Too often, we think it's just the men, but when we look back through the annals of time, through just the 400 years, it's men and women, old and young, babies. And I don't even know where to begin, because we've been marching since the Civil Rights Movement. I'm 55 years old, and the same stuff that was happening then is still happening now. Like someone said earlier, the only difference is that it's all being caught on camera. Can you imagine if there was a camera present every moment, if cell phones were present back then, it would probably be 10 times more horrifying. But again, I'm grateful for this forum. I'm grateful for the opportunity to voice. And I'm grateful for this community. I'm blessed that when I got my Monday morning phone call from my boss, when he usually hit the ground running with all the things that need to get done, before he even said that, he said, how are you? How are you doing? And it took everything within me not to bust into tears, because I know that there are a lot of caring people at this college, in this community, not this community as a whole. Sometimes, like my daughter says, she lives in South Carolina now. She goes, Mom, I miss Jersey. I miss Hudson County, because it's so culturally and densely diverse. I miss it. So I'm going to close on that. But thank you for giving me the opportunity.
Thank you so much for sharing that powerful story and your perspectives. I'm going to ask again, Katie Sweeting, I don't know if you're still with us, but we would welcome your coming back. We didn't get to, we lost you in the middle of a sentence. So if you can come back, we hope you will. And go ahead.
Hi, this is Celeste Mabay. I'm calling in. I just wanted to make a few comments.
Yep.
I am a young black woman. I'm 23 years old, and I see everything that is happening in our black community. And I stand with all of the black men on this call in Hudson County, all over the world. I just want to say that we love you, we appreciate you, we value your lives. But I just also want to bring up the issue that black women are all too often unseen in the national conversation about racial profiling, police brutality, and lethal force. So I just want to make sure that we're not forgotten in those conversations as well. You know, the Breonna Taylors, the Sandra Blands, the Tatiana Jeffersons, and the hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of other black women and black young girls who are also facing the same issue. Most of the time, most of the conversation is towards the black men, and I understand it and I appreciate it, but we also want to make sure that the black women are not forgotten in this conversation as well, because this is a black issue. It's not about gender, it's a black issue. And I'm very grateful that you're having this forum, but I just want to reiterate, a forum is not enough. We always have to do more. This is just a conversation that needs to lead up to more things happening and more people being aware of what is going on in our society, in this world, in this country. And, I just want to speak to, the other side of the people who don't see what we see, the people who always say, like, well, why can't all lives matter? If all lives matter, then black lives should matter too. And so you shouldn't feel offended when people say black lives matter, because if you're saying all lives matter, then that should include black people too. And we're not, I just, Black Lives Matter is not ostracizing anybody else, and we're not saying that cops are bad and all these other things, but we're speaking on the experiences that we've had and the injustice that we've had to face for years and generations and decades, I heard a comment from a football player saying that, their grandfather fought in a war and that's the reason why they won't tolerate anything else. But our grandfathers also fought in that war, and they came back and they still face segregation within their own community. So everyone has gone through the exact same thing. However, it's always been the bad side of where black people land. And I just want to, reiterate, it's not saying that all lives don't matter and that we don't care about other races. We're just saying if all lives matter, then why can't black lives matter also? If our house is burning and your house is okay, why are you worried about your house when millions of people in our house are currently burning and they're trying to get to safety? We wake up every day and we don't know what is going to happen to our black daughters, our black sons, our black cousins, our black fathers, our black mothers. You see a police car stop, and usually when I get stopped by a police, I'm on the phone. I make sure I'm on the phone, and so somebody knows where I am, what is happening. And if I'm on the phone, and I'm not holding the phone, obviously, but if I'm on the phone and someone is noticing, oh, is that a cop behind them? Well, they're not stopping me, they're stopping somebody else, and that's always a fear. I was on the phone with one of my friends before, and they heard the police siren, and they're like, oh, my God, are they stopping you? And it's just a fear of, okay, she's about to get stopped by a cop, or he's about to get stopped by a cop. I need to stand here and listen. I need to watch. I need to make sure everything goes as it's supposed to. And that's not something that we need to live through every single day just because of the color of our race. That's all I wanted to say.
Thank you so much. Do we have any others who would like to speak?
Hi, this is Katie. I think I cut myself off earlier.
Oh, hi, Katie. Welcome back.
I was getting too emotional, but just echoing what the young lady just said and just finishing my comments. Living as a black person in America is a unique experience, and I think those of us who are white, it's not enough to have, a black colleague, but I think we all need a black friend, to someone who will open up and we will open up to them, and to understand the road they walk every single day. to be vulnerable about our white privilege and to be honest with each other, I think is a really good pathway to racial reconciliation. So I encourage all of us to go a little deeper. This is individual. I mean, the issue is systemic racism, but I think it starts with individuals and works from there. And the last thing I'll say is I think it's not enough, those of us who have kids, it's not enough to not teach, it's not enough to just teach our kids that, everybody's the same. We have to actually go out of our way to teach our children not to be racist, because if they're in the society, and maybe not in, the most urban areas, but anywhere else in the country, if we let society teach them values, chances are they will be more racist. So I think, and what my parents did with me, they went way out of their way to teach me that there's no difference between people because of the color of their skin. That's all I'll say. Thank you.
Beautiful. Thank you, Katie. Are there any other comments or any other shares this morning?
Yes, hello. This is Ilya Ashman.
Hi, Ilya. Yes. Mm-hmm.
Well, I just want to raise my voice in solidarity with Black Americans, with African Americans, and I just want to share with you my feeling, because I'm not the only one, but I think my family and myself, we have a unique experience of living the second life in the United States. I was born in Russia, in former Soviet Union, and I grew up over there, and I know by heart what does it mean, racist, when people discriminate you on the base. Over there, it's more on the base of religious and other things. And we were able to run away from this pressure over there, run away from this, reality which hurt a lot of members of my family, which put a stop on our careers over there, on my parents' careers. And I know it's by heart what does it mean to feel when you see that you're getting treated different from other people in the society. So when we came to the United States, and it was more than 30 years ago, I was watching myself the difference when my kids were able to play together and were going to different sport events and playing together with different other kids with different colors of skin and different religions. They've been playing together, and for the first time, for the first several years, it wasn't actually fitted in my head how it's possible. And then it became kind of, for me, understanding that this is normal, that's how it's supposed to be. So that's why it hurts a lot when you see the exception, when you see those kind of things which happening, like happened with this gentleman who was literally killed recently without any needs and without any kind of law enforcement needs. So I would like myself just to raise my voice of solidarity with Black America and to say that absolutely we have to work together and stay together, making sure that that society will stay together, and those kind of things will not happen again.
Thanks so much, Ilya. Well, colleagues, go ahead.
Oh, hi, everyone. My name is Kiara Martin. I'm from Student Life and Leadership. I'm an assistant. Hello. Recently, with Student Life, we have weekly meetings. I'm sure everyone as well with being working from home. And it was it was a conversation that was needed because we do work, daily with students, even with working from home. And I agree with what Amala said and also Paula and everyone else as well, but it can be very disheartening because, this is an issue that has been going on for years. And sometimes coming into the workplace, it can be very difficult because you have to go into work. You have to smile as if nothing is going on, but it's affecting our homes. And sometimes, different races may learn from movies, but we're actually living this. And we all face that form of racism, whether it's with police or anything. Recently, last week, I did go to Newark to protest, and then I went home. It was very peaceful. But as everyone said, like, we need to educate ourselves. Everyone, whether you're African American or you're not, we all need to be educated to help one another. But it also needs to be that open dialogue, because sometimes it becomes that white elephant in the room, like, let's just, have one topic and then that's it. So hopefully we can continue to have this conversation. Everyone can continue to be open-minded. Not everyone may understand what it's like to be in our shoes, whether you're in an administrative position or not. We all face, discrimination in one form or another. And again, I just hope that, maybe a diversity office or something, as Amala said, or just having an ongoing conversation. Because as I spoke with my coworkers as well, when the situation in Jersey City happened, it was almost a form of privilege that I realized I was on campus. I've been at Hudson for 6 years, and it's been many incidents, but that one just made me feel, just discouraged being a part of Hudson, because we're the face of diversity, so is Jersey City. And it was a form of, I don't live in Jersey City, I don't live in Hudson County, so everyone just be careful with traffic. And it's like, wow, what about our safety, our mental health safety? And we've just been working on, as an office, and I'm sure the school will also be working on as well, as everyone has said, just supporting our students, but also supporting the staff as well, understanding that, some have children, I have brothers, I'm a black, woman as well, but just being a family. If we're going to say, like, Hudson is a family, let's continue to have those discussions. As we know, as it's Thanksgiving, we're talking about campaigns and politics. And sometimes we just want to defer from that. But I think if we just, put it out there, everyone's being open-minded, with research, having someone who's very well-versed in understanding racism and helping us all, I think that would be very beneficial to Hudson for staff and students. So, yeah, that's all.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
We don't have any more questions.
Okay.
Hold on.
I'm sorry?
We got one more. Hold on.
Okay.
Hi, good morning, everybody. Good morning, Dr. Reaver. It's Coral.
Hi, Coral.
Hi. I totally get what everybody's saying, and for me, it definitely is something that, continuous dialogue needs to happen about. I am a mom to 4 black and brown boys, and for me, every day that they're not with me is a day that I worry about what they're doing, where they're at, are they okay? So I try to keep in constant contact with them. And the thing that bothers me is that, as a parent, you try to keep your kids away from the realities of how harsh people are and how harsh the world is. And I've shielded them from that, so they don't really get it. So seeing all of this stuff happen on TV and over the past few years, it's been a shock to them. But I give them that space to talk about it, but it's still the reality that, it's scary that this is the world they live in, and this is the world they have to grow up in and be a threat just because they are a black man. And it's something that I worry about every day. And nobody would ever know, but every time they're leaving school, call me when you're leaving school. And it's bad because they're in school, and they're in school with kids that look like them because of the areas that the school is in or something like that. So kids that young, they don't get exposed to different cultures and different people. So they're growing up with a bias of everything that they see on TV anyway. So they have all of these false ideas and these false notions about what people are and who's better than who, and it's heartbreaking. And that's it.
Coral, thank you so much. I want to thank everyone today for your honest, respectful, and truly inspirational sharing. You know, this is a beautiful community, and I think the fact that we can speak openly with one another with honesty and passion and conviction is exceedingly important. And as president, I want to support this community's continued engagement and our efforts to do the right thing for our people and our students. I do want to end with just a couple of thoughts. Throughout my lifetime and in my understanding of our nation's and world history, the worst of human behavior always, in the end, brings out the best in humankind. In the end, I believe good will always win because most people are inherently good. And I'm optimistic about our future because I'm optimistic about and inspired by our students. And I believe that education is the greatest antidote to prejudice and injustice. So God bless you all. Let's continue to respect one another, trust one another, and work together for all things that are good and right. Thank you all so much. Stay safe and well. This is just the beginning of our work together. Thank you. On the same pages. I don't have it.